ECSI fans, you want to revolutionize your sports investing habits? Allow me to tell you about WagerWire. WagerWire is an app that helps you become a superior bettor by allowing you to sync all of your sports books and track all of your bets in one place. See your current action, your betting history, and stats. You can also sign up for sportsbooks and collect bonus offers. Follow them at WagerWire on X, as they're the best account on the platform. Head to the App Store or Play Store now and search WagerWire to download the app. From the ECSI Sports Studios and the #1 sports investors in America, we bring you the closing bell. As the market closes, legends Jeff Dawson and Riley Magnuson bring you all the sports investing tips for tonight's matchups. If you want to learn more from the two legends at the desk, make sure you stay tuned to the closing bell.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, sports fans from all around the globe. This is East Coast Sports Investors Closing Bell for Tuesday, December 19th. I am Riley Magnuson, rocking solo for this fine Tuesday afternoon/evening. Going to get you ready for everything Tuesday night. Mostly a little basketball going on tonight. Nothing too crazy around the rest of the sports world. I know we've got some NHL games, but as I always say, I can't help anyone out too much with that. That is out of my area of expertise. Do have one college bowl game. Still a little early bowl season action, so nothing too crazy, but we can talk about that for a quick second. But aside from that, as I mentioned, a handful of just a few college basketball games we're talking about, and then 4 or 5 NBA games. And then we'll go ahead and get on out of here nice and short and sweet. Last night, did not have a closing bell last night, but Monday Night Football, Seahawks take down the Eagles. Eagles obviously in a rough spot. Some of their early season kind of going through a funk and finding a way to win. Starting to catch up to them a little bit. Obviously, Seahawks desperate for a win last night. So that game really makes things interesting for the rest of that NFC playoff picture. Seahawks with an easier schedule now. Last 3, good chance of potentially getting there. 2-1 the last 3, get to 9-8. Probably gets the job done for them with a lot of these teams still playing against each other. Obviously, nobody really ahead of them in that 6th and 7th seed race. Obviously, Vikings right there at 7-7. Some of those NFC South teams right around there as well. Packers, somebody else as well. Anyways, so that's a big one for that. Obviously, hurts all those 6 and 8 teams in the NFC, and then Cowboys still very, very, very alive for the NFC East, and the NFC East kind of does look like it's heading towards that 3 seed potentially, if not the 2 seed. But obviously, that 1 seed looking a little out of reach now, potentially with the Niners a game ahead of all 3 of those teams, and obviously the tiebreaker with the Eagles and Cowboys there. So interested to see how things shake out the rest of the way. But Niners obviously in the driver's seat for the 1 seed. And I guess I was saying NFC looks like the 3 seed, but still very much up in the air with the Lions there at also 10-4 there. So interested to see how it shakes out. You could chalk it up to Hurts not being 100%, but Seahawks defense still obviously been pretty successful all season long. It's been their offense that's been shaky at times. If you can keep them in that game, I can't remember who it was on the broadcast was saying, with the backup quarterback getting started last minute, whether it actually was or not, still a backup quarterback getting the start against a big team like that, down 10-3 at half. It's definitely something they were not too upset about. So still had it within reach and made a couple of defensive stops and obviously had that last drive to take care of business. So Seahawks, as I mentioned, last 3. They've got the Titans this upcoming week in Tennessee. Only 2.5-point favorites, so nothing to slouch at there. Could get caught on one of these games for sure. Home for the Steelers, and then at Arizona, scrappy Arizona team still fighting for some wins. That'll be Week 18, and then the Eagles still very much alive for the Cowboys, as I said, but the Eagles get the Giants, Cardinals, and Giants. So Eagles still, kind of in the driver's seat, assuming the Cowboys lose one of these two games. They got the Dolphins and Lions coming up, so maybe you don't want to assume that. But Cowboys, obviously, very decent chance that they lose one of those two games and slip up there. So a big one for the Eagles if they were able to win last night. Now moving on to today, as I mentioned, and we'll get going on this slate to get out of here nice and short and sweet. Let's touch on the first one here. I didn't get a chance to watch these two teams too much throughout the season, but UTSA and Marshall is the bowl game tonight, if you didn't notice. I have had a few bowl games in the tank already since Saturday. I think Saturday was opening day for bowl season. Now you've got UTSA minus 7.5-point favorites. This game is in Frisco, Texas. 47.5 on the game total here. And UTSA has not played, obviously, since November 24th. Lost to Tulane in that one, 16-29. So this total is a little lower than what they typically sit at. Kind of right around where Marshall is, but Marshall's had some totals that were a little lower than this as well. Has had some higher totals. Marshall had a pretty goofy up and down season there, 6-6, but that total honestly seems a bit low to me. So while anyone that is just looking at a bowl game and ready to fire away, this one has come down. I don't know what this one actually opened at, but I know it's come down. So you're not getting the best number if you are going under, but this one has flown down to the under. So almost at a point where you're interested in buying on a low number necessarily, but I'm going to go with UTSA and the under in this one just on a lean. Like I said, I didn't watch too much of these teams, but would not surprise me if UTSA holds that Marshall offense to a low number there. Team totals 28 for UTSA, 19 for the Thundering Herd there. So I'll go under on that Marshall Thundering Herd total there, just on a lean there. So that's it for the bowl game today. And then I believe as the week gets going on here, nothing tomorrow, I don't think, but you got South Florida, Syracuse on Thursday. Still not a fantastic one, but at least some better names there. And then Saturday's got a couple nice ones, but really get into the thick of things after Christmas, obviously, with college football there. Skipping over to the college basketball slate real quick. Couple of decent games tonight. Few Big East games in action tonight. Two Big East games, and then another two teams that are top 25. Memphis hosting Virginia is the top 25 game. That one is in Memphis. Memphis 3.5-point favorites, 132 on the total. Virginia, only that one loss. I'm drawing a blank who it was that they lost to, but only that one loss to Wisconsin. That was one we were correct on earlier in the year. But I mean, the thing that jumps out to me in this one, when you have, it is meeting in the middle a little bit, obviously, here, but when you have Virginia team that's typically living in the 120s, 132 here is interesting. But again, obviously, it's kind of meeting in the middle with where Memphis typically is. So I'm not sure what quite to expect out of this game. This is an interesting clashing styles here that you typically don't see with either of these two teams playing, their this style of opponent in Virginia and Memphis there. So Memphis, 2 losses. It's been a couple of weeks since they've lost, but Villanova and Ole Miss were their losses. Not bad losses by any means. Nice win a few days ago at home against Clemson. Tough ACC opponent there. Nice win as a dog against Texas A&M. Solid team, obviously. And then, as I mentioned, Virginia kind of taking care of business. So I'll lean towards the over in this one. Again, anytime it's Virginia and you're giving me over 130, I'm going to lean towards that over. But, we'll see what happens in this one. I don't have a lean as far as the game itself. Gun to my head, I'll go Memphis at home. But at the end of the day, like I said, I'm going to be leaning towards that over a little more so than anything out of that one. The 2 Big East games, one of them I don't have strong thoughts. Still kind of waiting to feel these two teams out. Georgetown and Butler, that game being Butler minus 10.5-point favorites at home here. Georgetown 7-4. Obviously still in a growing season for the most part here. I've had some wins, a couple of losses earlier in this month already, a week or two ago. TCU and Syracuse, they're 7-4. Butler on a nice winning streak again here. kind of kick above their coverage a little bit, if I do say so myself. So in my opinion, this one seems a little inflated. Would kind of put this one closer to 8 points, but that doesn't mean Butler can't take care of business here. I do think you have a Georgetown team that's probably going to start, showing its colors and have an ugly Big East season for the most part there. I don't really think Butler's a serious contender in the Big East, but should be able to handle a team like Georgetown here. So I don't know which way I'm leaning, but I do feel like this number is inflated a little bit here. So I lean Georgetown just off of that, but wouldn't surprise me if more about Georgetown laying an egg than Butler, flexing their muscles here, in my opinion there. So backing off of that one, but, kind of pumping the brakes on both sides of it, really, from that argument there. The other one, a good one here, Marquette and Providence. Providence, the home team, 4.5-point dogs here. Obviously, a team that over the last 2-3 years has been an interesting team to watch, and a team that has surprised a lot of people and has pulled off some upsets. Tough place to play, obviously, but you have a Marquette team. Both teams 9-2, but Marquette's still a top 10 team for the AP. Haven't lost in over 2 weeks to that Wisconsin game. Wisconsin team there. Nice win against Texas a week and a half or so ago as 8.5-point favorites at home, either home or maybe on a neutral floor. And Providence, only a couple losses. Bad one I think it's exactly 2 weeks ago. Just score-wise, to Oklahoma. Not a bad team, but a bad 51-72 loss. They've bounced back a couple. So with a lot of this, again, hesitating because Providence has been darlings and they've handled spots like these and been the team that wins. But with a team that's still top 10 and still getting that type of respect, we've seen them flex their muscles against that Texas team. I'm pumping the brakes on Marquette here tonight. Wouldn't surprise me if they take care of business, but it does seem like a number that is leaning towards a Providence cover, if not an upset win here. I think you're going to get a really, really good game. You're going to get Providence giving them their best shot, I think. Again, we've seen this Providence team step up earlier in the season against a tough Wisconsin team. Wisconsin not quite in the best place at that point. And now Providence is kind of taking care of business against these lower-level teams. Bad taste in their mouth last time they had a decent-sized game, like I said, against Oklahoma there. So I do think they are going to step up and give them their best shot here. I believe these teams split the season series last year. Yep, they did. One and Providence wins at home. Marquette wins in Marquette there. So the number's a little different there, but Marquette obviously a higher-rated team now than they were last year for the most part there. So I'm going to lean towards Providence getting the cover, but again, this could just be the end of the Providence train as we know it going forward. They're a tough team, a little bit more of a dark horse. I'd put them as outside contenders than what we were just talking about with Butler, but at the end of the day, still need to see it, I think, one more time here before I'm all in on the Providence train this year. So I am leaning towards Providence, but probably not firing away too hard on it tonight. So that'll do it for the most part for college basketball, at least a few games that I was interested in looking at there. 4 games in the NBA, few with some decent storylines to look at and talk about here. First one up, Grizzlies and Pelicans, the return of the anticipated, probable, I think is the correct word, return of Ja Morant here. No idea what type of minutes restriction, if at all, he's going to be on. He is in the lineup tonight. I see Zion questionable for the Pelicans right now. But obviously, I mean, these two teams, Grizzly is 6-15. Even with the 25-game suspension and Steven Adams, this team had a 45-win total, which to me, I had myself scratching my head. So even with Ja Morant, still a flawed team that just doesn't have the same firepower, same depth as it had the last couple of years here. And a Pelicans team that I've really, really respected and had some action on a lot these last few weeks, a team that I've at times kind of expected them to kind of take a nice another leap. They're 16-11 now after kind of flirting right around that 500 line, won 4 in a row. The last 3 against some easier opponents, a nice win against Minnesota, but nonetheless, a team that's playing a lot better, especially defensively here. So I'm staying far away from the spread. I have no idea what you're going to expect from the Grizzlies, really, whether Ja Morant plays 20 minutes, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, I have no idea. Even if he does, whether or not that really makes that much of an impact. I love Ja Morant as the player. Obviously, he's got his off-court issues that he needs to solve. But, I mean, we saw in the past the difference between him and a reason why they probably had a 45-game win total this year is even without him, I think last year, I don't remember what the end number was, but at one point it was 14-2 without him or something like that. So Really, the total here is kind of what's standing out with the way. I mean, the Pelicans' offense has been putting up some big numbers. Their games have typically kind of lived around this range, but it's those 230 pluses that have kind of been an over indicator for this Pelicans team for the most part. And these Grizzlies, if it was going to go under, would have in my opinion, under that 220 number is the indicator that their games go over or under in a lot of cases there. So I'm going to lead towards the. I'm sorry, I misspoke on that last one, didn't I? If the Grizzlies are in that 220s or less, those are the ones that surprisingly have gone over. Now they have been going over. Now the number is climbing up a little bit more. Would have respected another low number there. So I am trying to suggest that this one goes over because the Pelicans defense has been playing really well. I think that comes to an end here. So this one, I do think, despite the Pelicans' their defense, that this one somehow finds a way to go over that number here. So kind of in the middle of what these two teams live at, but I will lean towards the over on this one between the Grizzlies and Pelicans. Spurs and Bucks, tough one to call on a ridiculous spread here, 16.5. Spurs 4-21. Finally, was that their last game that they finally get off the losing streak? They quickly go right back to it. 146-110 loss the other day. 16.5 point spread. It's tough to. I'm not a big fan of these 16.5 point spreads. You give me a spread that looks like they're single digits and it's something's live there, then fire away for sure. But Bucks are playing really, really well right now. Good opponent, bad opponent. They've been putting up a ton of points. So 249.5 on the total is kind of what we're looking at here. Kind of an indicator. I think that this one goes over. We've seen these big numbers, and it's been an indicator that it goes over. Both these teams, there's a couple teams that have been living in those 240s, 250s even, and then some of them are, kind of pump the brakes on it going over. This one, the way these two teams are playing, the Bucks totals have been lower than this with a couple of exceptions there. I think it goes over again. I think the Bucks probably put a boatload of points up there. Wouldn't surprise me if the Spurs added on a decent chunk themselves here. So I'm going to go to the over. Just the over total in general on this one. Bucks team total is 133.5. I think they find a way to get over that there as far as their team total there. Another one, a couple games. The other one, Blazers hosting the Suns. Blazers obviously the third. They've been flying under the radar as a bad team with how bad the Pistons and Spurs have been, but still not a very good team, obviously. Was a little bit of a head-scratchingly low number. Bradley Beal is out for the Suns. So maybe not quite as much firepower from the Suns, but would still kind of lean towards the Blazers in that one. The other one, though, Celtics now tied for the best record in the NBA, 20-5, I believe it is. Nice win streak of their own right now. It is at 5 games. I know that they've been 8-10 their last 10, 8-2 their last 10, 20-5 overall, though. And now you've got a Warriors team that's obviously been struggling. They have won a couple in a row. Brooklyn and Portland, their last 2. Back at home, it's tough to call this one. It does seem like this is a number that in earlier in the last season about this time it was 2.5 at Golden State. Now we're up to 5. But this Golden State team just isn't the same here. So I would have respected closer to a pick'em with or 2.5, 3 with how well the Celtics are playing, and everyone kind of knows this isn't necessarily the Warriors team that you're hammering away on at home no matter what. They're a losing basketball team right now. Their record at home is 6-6, so they're even 6-6 at home here. So I'm kind of leaning towards the Warriors. I'm sorry, I would have respected the Celtics if they were up to 7.5. I'm fumbling on my words today. Would have respected the Celtics if they were up at 7.5, 8, the way they've had in a lot of these spreads here. Would have respected the Warriors even more, like I was kind of saying if it was 2.5, 3, and I'd probably fire away, no doubt. Still kind of respecting the 5 here as far as feeling a little fishy to me. So I am leaning towards the Warriors on this one here. They, as dogs, have not been fantastic. The Warriors, these last few on the season, they are pretty good. These last few, not so much, but I'm going to lean towards the Warriors on what I feel like should probably be a bigger number with the way the Celtics are playing there. So I fumbled on my words a couple on that one, but leaning towards the Warriors. as one of the stronger leans of the 4 games there. But it's a couple TNT games, a couple of iffy games on the schedule as well. So aside from that, fumbling on my words, and that is all what we have on the slate today. I'm going to go ahead and get on out of here. Thank y'all for whoever stopped by and hung out with me today on our short Tuesday evening slates. We'll be back at the same time tomorrow. Bigger NBA slate, I know. Probably looking ahead to some NFL. Nice little college basketball slate tomorrow. UNC, Oklahoma, Baylor and Duke, Villanova, Creighton, Alabama, Arizona, UConn, Seton Hall. So some really good big college basketball games that we'll talk about tomorrow. So that'll probably be the headliner of the Wednesday shows here on the CSI airwaves. And as I mentioned, a big handful of Wednesday NBA games as well. So without further ado, I will go ahead and get on out of here. Thank you all for stopping by today. And best of luck on whatever you got going on tonight. If you haven't already, make sure you go check out Wager Wire. I know Jeff had a sit-down interview, as he typically does on Tuesday mornings, with Travis Geiger of Wager Talk. So definitely go and check out that if you're looking to learn more about who they are and what they do. Typically talking about that every week, and also just trying to, getting to know them as people is kind of the other goal of those shows. So go check out that from this morning on the ECSI network. But aside from that, thank you all for stopping by with me today. I will catch you all tomorrow.